Okay, this is going to be the Algebra 2 review for variation and curve fitting. I'm going to go through this. It's a couple pages, not very long. For some of the curve fitting stuff, I'm going to use this Casio instead of the one that I have on the board because it doesn't do exponentials correctly. So let's go ahead and follow along. All right. First one says y varies inversely as x. Now, here's a couple things you got to know. Inverse is going to be y equals k over x. All right. Direct is going to be y equals kx. And then joint variation, all right, is going to be y equals like everything in a row. Okay. All right. All of these problems basically start out the same. The first thing you want to do is write the model. Okay. Or write the base equation. It's probably the first thing you're going to want to do. All right, base equation, all right, based on what they tell you. So in this case, they say inverse. So what I'm going to want to do for this one is I'm going to write y equals k over x. Okay. The second step you're going to want to do is you're going to substitute define k. This is basically the same thing on each problem. So in this example, I got 20 and 30, which is 20 here, all right, 30 here, all right. Now, anytime you have something in the denominator, cross multiply. So that's going to be 600. Third step is rewrite the equation. Rewrite the equation with k. Okay? So for me, that's going to be y equals 600 over x. Okay? Now, step 4 is you can start answering the problems depending on what they're asking. Okay? So in step 1 it says, what's the constant? We found the constant. It was 600. What's the equation? The equation is y equals 600 over x. So when they ask for the equation, they want you to replace that. For this one, it says find x when y is 2, okay? So it says y is 2, so I would have this, okay? To solve that, I'm going to cross multiply and then divide. So x equals 300, okay? All right, so there's my answer, okay? Moving on to number 2, all right? It says y varies inversely as x and directly with z. So the z is going to go next to k, all right? The first step that you want to do is you want to put those amounts in. So 24, k, and then 30. All right. So then what we're doing is we're multiplying 24 times 15. All right, I get that. All right, and that's 360. All right, that's 360 equals k 30. I would divide by 30. That means k is 12. Okay, all right, k is 12. Get rid of that so you can. So my equation is going to be 12z over x. Now I can start answering this. What's my constant? My constant is 12. Write the equation that models that. That's going to be this. Okay. Moving on to question 3. It says y varies jointly as as x and the square of z. So I'm going to start out with jointly as x. Square means this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute these values, 33, k, -1, and then 2 squared. All right, very simple. All I want to do is divide those away now. So I got 32 divided by -1 divided by 2 squared. All right, you can figure out what 2 squared is, or you can do that. So k is -8. So my equation is y equals -8x z squared. Okay, so what's my constant? Constant's -8. What's the equation that models it? Y equals -x z squared. Okay. Moving on to number 4. It says y varies jointly as x and z. Okay. So that would be, it says 60 for y, 4 for x, 5 for z. Since those are attached by multiplication, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to divide those away. Divided by 4, divided by 5. Okay. And I'm going to get 3 there. So k is 3. My equation is this. Okay. Now it says find y when x is 2 and z is 8. All right. So I'm going to find y, 2 and 8. That's going to I'm going to multiply all of those out, and that's going to end up being 48 for my answer. Okay. All right. And that's that one. All right. Moving on to number 5. Select the words that best describes the variation model. Okay. Y varies directly as basically x. All right, and inversely as y. Okay, all right. I would accept that one. This one doesn't mention x at all, so that's why that one didn't work. Varies jointly. Jointly is all in one row. Directly is y. Y is obviously not underneath. Okay. All right, this one, what you want to end up doing on number 6 is you want to get y by itself, okay? Y's got to be in the numerator up top, okay? All right, so in this one, I want to move that away, so that's going to be y equals k over x, that's going to be inverse variation. This is already set like that, that's also going to be inverse variation. Okay, this one I want to move the x up, so that's y equals kx, which will be direct variation. Okay, this one I end up having to move the y up, but then the k down, so I got this. I got x over k equals y, which is neither. And the reason why it's neither is the k has to be up top as well. This one is already in direct variation. Okay, this one the k moves underneath there, so that's y equals x over k. Once again, that's going to be a neither. Okay. So the y equals has to be up top, and the k's got to be up top. Okay, that's the 2 rules on that. All right, number 7, it says state whether it's direct or inverse. Here's how you figure this out. Direct variation, if you divide y by x, it should all be the same constant. Should be the same. If it's inverse variation, it's x times y is the same constant. Okay? All right, so for us, the way I check that, if I divide all those, y divided by x, 8 divided by 2 is 4. If I divide those, that's 4, 4, and 4. Okay, so that's going to be direct variation. If it's direct variation, my constant's 4, that's my k, so that's why that's my answer. Okay, number 8, it says the time it takes to travel a given distance varies inversely. Okay, so I got time varies inversely as the rate. Okay, those are the key things. So what I would set up is time varies inversely as the rate. Okay, all right, averaging 54 miles per hour, that is the rate. It takes them 6 hours. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to cross multiply that, and that's going to be, I believe, 324. So I rewrite my equation. All right, so none of this changes regardless of what type of variation it is or the type of problem. All right, so I got this. Then now it's time to answer my question. If it took them 4 hours and 40 minutes, okay? Now, what 40 minutes is of an hour is basically 2/3, okay? It's 2/3 of an hour, all right? So if you want to do 40.66 repeating, that is fine. So it took them 40.66 repeating, 324. What was the average rate? Once again, I sort of cross multiply there. 40.6 equals 324. Okay, so that's going to be 324 R divided by 40.6. Okay, so my R is going to be, calculate that here. So 324 divided by 40.6 is going to be about 7.98. Okay, just want to make sure that was right. Or take some time. Yep, varies inversely. Okay. All right, so that's my answer, 7.98. And number 9, it says the average bags of mulch to cover your backyard varies directly with the area of the backyard. Okay, so bags varies directly with the area. All right, and then inversely with the weight. Okay, a certain backyard is 600 square feet. I'm sorry, 500 square feet. It requires 50 bags, 25 pounds. Once again, to find that, I'm going to cross multiply. And then I'm going to divide by 50. Oops, divided by 50. So my K is 25. Okay, so 50 times 25 divided by, actually this should have been divided by 500. So 1250 divided by 500. All right, so I got 2.5 for K. Okay, so K is 2.5. So B equals 2.5 AW. Okay, it says how many bags will be needed if there's 800 square feet. And there's 50 pounds. Okay, so all I'm going to do there is 2.5 times 800 divided by 50. Okay, order of operations will help you there on that one. And the B is going to be 40. Okay, so that's the variation stuff. Okay, moving on to the curve fitting stuff. What is the best model? okay? Now, as you can see here, your answers can help figure this out. These are all exponentials, okay? So what you're going to do here is I'm going to go into menu and I'm going to go to stat. All right, and I'm going to type these in, okay? I'm going to type in 1. I'm going to type in 2, 3, 4. All right? All right, you do the same thing. 1, 3, 9, 27. Now, I'm going to do that in here because where I want to go is I want to go to calculate, reg, okay? I'm going to go over to F6, and now because it's an exponential, I'm going to choose that one. All right? Now, I'm going to do this on here because I don't have that choice of the regular exponential. So let me put my answers in here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3, 9, 27. Let me delete all this other stuff in here. All right. So if I calculate reg, all right, what you want to select when you do the exponential one is you want to select the A, the B, the X. Okay. We're going to not use that E yet. Okay. And what my answer is when I get this is it's going to be 0.3 with 3 to the X power. Okay. All right. 0.3 repeating is the best example. That would be that one. So make sure you use that for this. Okay, if the table is in the exponential form, okay, all right, what is the value of n? So what I want to do is I want to do exponential form for this, okay? So once again, I sort of go back to this part, and I just type these things in, okay? So I got 0, 1, and 2. Okay, I'm going to delete this, all right, delete this, all right. All right, 2, 4, and 8. All right, I'm going to calculate, once again, reg. I'm going to go over to exponential, okay? All right, now I'm going to do this in my calculator here. All right, so I got 0, 1, 2, all right? And then 2, 4, and 8. All right, I'm going to calculate a to the bx, okay? So I got 2 times 2 to the x power, okay? Now, I'm going to show you how to do this with my calculator. All right, now this isn't the right one. This is the one you want to use. But I just want to show you how you copy and then you find this. So I go copy, okay? You have to hit execute. All right, now I'm going to go back into the graph area. All right, I have to hit select because when I go to draw, it will say that. So I have to hit select, and now I'm going to draw it. All right, I'm going to zoom out a bunch. Zoom out, zoom out. All right, zoom out. All right, a bunch. Okay. Now it says I want to find this. So I want to calculate x when that's that one. So I go G-solve. I want to calculate x when that's 512. All right? And that's what it tells me. I think it tells me 8. Okay? Now, let me see if that matches up with my answer. I'm going to copy, execute. I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to go to graph. All right, hit select. I'm going to draw. I'm going to zoom out a bunch. It might be the same. Might be the same answer, but we want to double check it. Zoom out. All right. G-solve. All right, I'm calculating the x coordinate with 512, and that also spits out 8. All right, so both of that's going to create 8 as the answer. Okay? All right. Bacteria infects some fish tanks. The equation models a certain bacteria. That is an exponential right here. That's an exponential equation. All right? Where B represents the number of bacteria after T days. Okay? So T is going to be time. Predict the number of bacteria. Now, since they give us that, I can just go back to this. I can delete this one, and I can type that in. 50, 1.8 raised to the x power. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that. Okay? That's fine. Now, here's the idea. All right, if T is days, and I guess bacteria is the Y. This is Y, bacteria. Okay? Alright, so we're going to do X or Y. X or T, doesn't matter. So this one, 3 days. What's that one? That's X. So I got to calculate the Y there. So I'm going to do G-solve. I'm going to go to this. I'm going to calculate the Y. They want me to put in 3 for that. That's going to be 291.6. Okay, all of your fish died. There are 100,000 bacteria. What will happen if the pattern continues? Okay, all right. When will this happen? Okay, so what I want to look at is the 100,000 is going to be here, okay, because that's the bacteria, that's the Y. All right, so I want to calculate X. So I want to go G-solve over here, X calc, and it's going to be 100,000. Right? I might have to zoom out a ton. Maybe I don't. Actually, 12.93. Okay, 12.93 days. Okay, there's my answer. So if they give you the equation, that's what you do. Okay, then it says, here's a chart. Here's the thing, you gotta look at the word. It says cubic. Cubic means x cubed. Okay, so when I go in here, I'll be able to use this one pretty easily here. So what I'm going to do, all right, I'm going to go to menu, all right, I'm going to go to stat, all right, and I'm going to type these in. I'll make sure I get all of them. All right, yeah, that's just the first one is 0. 0, all right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all right, -5, -2, 2, 1, -3, -4, -1, and 3. Okay, I want to calc, reg. They're telling me it's cubic, so I'm choosing that one. Okay, now my equation here is going to be this. If you go down, you can actually see what they want you to do. A is the number in front of x cubed, B is the number in front of x squared, C is the number for x, D is the other number. So what I should have for an equation, all right, is y equals 0.26 x cubed, all right, minus 2.79 x squared, okay, plus 7.79 x minus 5.57, okay. Now, what's nice is here, I can show you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, I'm going to hit execute, I'm going to go into menu, I'm going to go into graph, I'm going to select it, all right, and it's going to be able to graph. I'm going to F3, exit draw, see if that helps me any. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit, okay. Now, it says, using the cubic regression, predict what it would be at t is 0.5, okay. So what is t is here, right? So we want to, that's x, this is considered my y, so I want to do my y calc. All right, G-solve y calc, and I'm putting in 0.5, and that gets me negative 2.34. All right, negative 2.34. Okay, 14 and through all these, an exponential one is going to look like this. A cubic one is going to look like this. A linear one is going to be a line. A log is like the exponential, but it curves that way. And a quadratic goes like this. That can also go like this with a quadratic. Also, this can go like this with a line. Okay? All right? It's good there. All right, moving on to question 15. It says the following chart represents a number of females each year, the degree in engineering from major university. What they did is they renumbered these for you based on the years. Okay? All right? And what they did is they told you it's a quadratic curve. So quadratic is going to be x squared. All right? So if I go back into this, all right, okay, 90, there we go. All right, go to menu, I'm going to go to stat. I'm going to type all these numbers in, 0, 1, 3, 5, all right, 7, all right, 8, all right, 10, 13, 14, 15, okay? All right, let's go in and calculate this stuff, 178, 168, 155, 151, 148, 153, 159, 168, okay, 179, okay, all right, oops, I missed one somewhere. Okay, so I got 179, let me back up, see if I can figure this one out. Where did I miss that? All right, first of all, I need to fix that 168. All right, 155, 151, 148. All right, 153, 159, 168. Okay, that's my issue right there. I should have 168 here for 14. For 13, I should have 159. For 10, I should have 153. For 8, I should have 148. All right, for 7, I should have 151. And for 5, I should have 155. For 3, I should have 160. And for 1, I should have 168. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I want to calc reg. Since it says quadratic, I'm doing this. So my equation is going to be y equals 0.47 x squared. Okay, it tells you how to do the equation. And then 177.2. Okay. All right. Once again, I want to copy that. Copy, execute menu. I'm going to go back into graph. All right. I hit select and draw it. Okay. 3F3X and draw. All right. All right. Zoom auto is another one I can use. All right. Then zoom out. Okay. So if you get stuck, always zoom auto is a great way to figure that out. All right. Then it says, using your equation, predict the number of women that will graduate with a degree from this university in 2014. Okay. So what I want to do is I figure out that 2014, if I'm following that same process, 211 would be 16, 212 would be 17, 13 would be 18, 214 would be 19. So I'm given the x, I need to find the y, okay? So I need to calculate y, gsolve calculate y, and I want to do that at 19, okay? And it will tell me that 211 is the answer, okay? All right? Using your equation, predict the year that you think that 170 women will be there, okay? All right, so that's the other one. 170, I'm going to calculate the x, all right? All right, so gsolve, I'm going to calculate the x when there are 170, okay? Now, that means it's about 1.06, okay? All right, there's going to be two answers here, 1.06, so about 1 in 14, okay? And if I go back up to my chart, what does 1 mean? 1 means 1996, all right? Okay? And the other one, 14, would be 2009. Either answer would be acceptable, all right? Last two questions, find the domain and range of this graph. Okay, so this point is -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 3. So -3, -3. This point right here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 1, 4 up. This point is 4 over 2 up. All right, for domain, what I want to do is I want to look at the smallest x, and then the biggest x. Okay, so my smallest x is -3. Okay, which I'm going to put a closed circle there. My biggest x is 4, which I'll put an open there because on no line underneath it because I have that. For the range, I'm looking for the small y and the big y. Okay, in my case, the small y is -3. The big y is 4. Okay, all right. I'm going to put a line under both because they're both closed circles at where they are. Okay. State the domain at intervals where it's increasing and decreasing for the graph. Okay. For an arrow here, that's a left arrow. My left arrow, that's going to be -infinity. Okay, because that's the left side. All right. This is going to be -infinity because it's going down. Okay. Also staying with that right arrow is going to be positive infinity and it's going up. So right up. So it's very similar to everything else there. All right. These other points, that's -2, 2. Okay, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 0, 5. You also want to look at this point right here, which is 2, 1. Okay. All right. So you want to look at all that stuff. All right. So for the domain, I'm looking at the smallest x. The smallest x value is going to be -infinity. Okay. Those always get an open line. All right. What's the biggest x? That's going to be positive infinity. Okay, so that's what the domain is. The range, what's the biggest, the smallest y? Smallest y is -infinity. Okay, biggest y is positive infinity. Okay, so it goes all through that. Now, where is it increasing and decreasing? Okay, increase, decrease. All right, from -infinity to -2, it's increasing. All right, so from -infinity to -2. All right, notice I have that. That's going to be increasing. All right, from 0 to 2, that's going to be decreasing. Okay, from 2 to infinity, that's going to be another increase. Okay, that's going to be another increase. All right, I think that's it. Okay, and if you go over that, make sure you know the key thing is a couple things you're going to have to be able to do well with this. Number one is in the calculator. you got to be able to, when you're in this area, know which one to find. All right, when you're testing, when you're calculating in the regression, you got to look at what the words say. That tells you, or the selections. The other thing you should be able to do, all right, when you do this, you should be able to copy, hit execute, go back into your graph, hit select, and be able to draw it. Okay, you got to be able to do that. All right, G-solve and this will calculate whatever you want. The other thing that's going to be key for you on this test is understanding this stuff right here. Which one of these is this? Follow this pattern for every single problem, and then answer your questions. All right, you'll be fine.